You ever take an exit you don't remember seeing? Like, you've driven that same stretch of highway 100 times, and suddenly there's a sign that wasn't there yesterday. That's how this started. It was just after 11 p.m. I was driving home from a weekend with some old college friends. Nothing out of the ordinary. The highway was mostly empty. Just miles of quiet road, trees flashing past in the dark, and the occasional truckers zooming by. Then I saw it. A green exit sign, lit up like all the rest, except this one read, Echowood, 2 miles. I slowed down, puzzled. I'd never heard of Echowood. I've lived in this area all my life, driven this route more times than I can count, and there's no town called Echowood within 50 miles. Curiosity got the better of me. Maybe it was a detour or a new development. Maybe I just missed it before. So I took the exit. Immediately, I knew something was off. The ramp was longer than usual, way longer, and there were no lights. Just pitch black. My headlights cutting a thin path through the trees. My GPS stopped updating the second I left the highway. No signal. At first, I figured I just hit a dead zone. No big deal. But as the minutes passed, the road kept going. No intersections, no signs, no other cars. Just this 2-lane stretch of pavement flanked by thick woods. The darkness started to feel heavy, like it was pressing against the windows. I turned on the radio to distract myself. Static. I flipped through stations. More static. Then I swear I heard something beneath it. A whisper. Just one word, too garbled to make out, but it made my skin crawl. I tried to shake it off. Told myself I was just tired. But the further I drove, the stranger everything felt. The road didn't feel maintained. There were cracks, weeds poking through the edges, and my tires thudded softly, as if rolling over something uneven. That's when I noticed the mile markers. They weren't numbers, just symbols. Circles, triangles, things that looked almost like letters, but weren't from any language I knew. My foot hovered over the brake. I thought about turning back, but something told me it wouldn't matter. The exit ramp had curved so much, I didn't even know what direction I was facing anymore. For all I knew, I could be driving in circles. Then I saw the first sign. A crooked wooden board nailed to a tree. Black letters, hand-painted. Keep going. Nothing else. Just those 2 words. And that was somehow worse than if it had said nothing at all. I kept driving. Not because I wanted to, but because stopping felt like the wrong choice. There was this thick feeling in my chest, like if I pulled over, something would find me. After another few minutes, the road subtly changed again. The trees on either side grew denser, leaning closer to the asphalt, as if they were watching. My headlights seemed dimmer now, even though I hadn't touched the dial. I noticed the temperature drop too. My breath fogged up slightly, even with the heater running. I glanced at the gas gauge. Half a tank. Enough to keep going for a while, but suddenly, I didn't trust it. What if this road just kept stretching forever? What if gas stations didn't exist here? That was when the second sign came. This one was different. It wasn't nailed to a tree. It was metal, rusted and leaning slightly, right by the side of the road. The words were smeared, like someone had tried to scrub them off, but gave up. I slowed down just enough to read it. No exit ahead. It didn't make sense. No exit from what? This wasn't even supposed to be on the map. I pulled over for a second, just a second, and opened my phone again. No service. Not even one bar. It wouldn't even load the time. That's when I heard it. A rustling from the woods. Slow, deliberate. Too heavy to be wind. Too slow to be an animal. I didn't wait. I floored it. Back on the road. Gripping the wheel tight. Heart pounding. Whatever I'd gotten myself into. I was already in too deep. The road didn't feel like any road I'd ever been on. Even though I was driving fast, the scenery barely seemed to change. The trees were the same, tall, dense, and way too close to the road. I started to get the eerie feeling that I was trapped inside a loop. I kept my eyes sharp, looking for any landmark, any sign that I was making progress. But there was nothing. Just more black asphalt, and those same watchful trees. Then the air changed. I don't know how to explain it, but it was like driving into a different kind of atmosphere. Heavier. It pressed down on my chest, made my ears pop like I was climbing a mountain. Except the road was still flat. And cold. Way too cold. I turned the heater all the way up, but it was like the chill was coming from inside the car. My hands were trembling slightly as I gripped the wheel. The headlights flickered for a second, and I nearly slammed on the brakes, but they stayed on. I kept telling myself to stay calm. Just keep driving. Eventually, I had to reach something. Then came the noise. The radio, still stuck on static, began to whine. It was soft at first, like background feedback, but then I started to hear words, garbled, overlapping, like multiple voices trying to speak at once through a mouthful of water. One of the voices was mine. That's when I started to lose it. I yanked the power cord from the dashboard, cutting the radio off completely. But the whispering didn't stop. It was still there, faint, like it had crawled inside my ears. I turned on the interior light, hoping that would help somehow. It didn't. It just made the car feel smaller. And then I saw the headlights. 2 tiny dots in my rearview mirror. My heart lifted for a second. Another driver. I wasn't alone. I slowed down just a little, hoping they'd catch up. I could wave them down, ask if they knew what the hell this road was. Maybe we'd both taken the same wrong exit. But the lights stayed distant, never getting closer, just hovering there. I tried speeding up. The lights matched my pace. I switched lanes. The lights followed. That's when it hit me. There was no engine sound. Even with the windows rolled up, you can usually hear a car behind you if it's that close. But this? Nothing. Just the hum of my own tires and the ever-growing throb of panic. I pulled over, opened my door. Silence. And when I looked back down the road, there was nothing there. No headlights. No car. Just empty, twisting road. I jumped back into the car and slammed the door shut. The moment I turned the key, the radio burst on by itself, full blast static mixed with distant screaming. I drove. Fast. Not looking back anymore. Every instinct I had screamed to leave whatever that was behind. But no matter how far I went, the road stayed the same. And I swear, out of a corner of my eye, I saw the trees moving. At one point, I passed a bent road reflector, just one, tilted like something had crashed into it. I slowed down, hopeful it meant civilization wasn't far. But then I noticed what was painted on the asphalt next to it. Not a lane marking. It was a word, faint and faded. Turn back. It was upside down, facing the way I'd come. I almost stopped again. Almost. But some instinct deep in my gut told me to keep going. That turning back wouldn't lead me home. It'd take me somewhere worse. I pressed down harder on the gas, eyes locked on the endless strip of road, praying for a break in the trees or a sign of life. Anything but this. The next road sign I passed wasn't helpful. It looked official, metal green, just like any normal directional sign, but instead of a town name or a distance, it just said, "Stay in your lane." I frowned. The road only had one lane in each direction. There wasn't even a dividing line anymore, just cracked pavement and a faded shoulder. But something about that sign made me slow down. It felt more like a warning than a suggestion. I kept going. Minutes later, another sign appeared. This one was worse. Yellow background, big black letters, warped from the elements. Echoes ahead. Echoes. Of what? I started to hear something. Something that didn't belong to the car. A kind of low, rhythmic tapping. I checked the dashboard. No alerts. Then I noticed it wasn't coming from inside the car. It was outside. It sounded like it was following me, perfectly synced with my speed. Tap, tap, tap. I leaned forward, squinting through the windshield. Nothing in front of me. I glanced at the rearview mirror. Nothing there either. But the sound kept going. Never louder, never softer. Just constant. The third sign almost made me stop completely. White with black lettering, like a hospital sign, but with the words, NOI's ahead. My knuckles turned white on the steering wheel. I didn't know what that meant, some kind of weird prank. But out here, nothing felt like a prank. It all felt intentional. Then I saw it. A figure in my rearview mirror. Just a shape at first. It didn't move. It didn't blink. It stood in the middle of the road behind me. And yet, every time I looked forward and then back again, it was a little closer. I never saw it move, but it kept gaining. It wasn't walking. It was just skipping space. I screamed and hit the gas, heart in my throat. The tapping got faster. The figure disappeared. For a second, I thought I was safe. But when I looked in the mirror again, it was right behind my car, no more than a few feet back, and still not moving. I couldn't take it anymore. I swerved the car sharply into the oncoming lane. Not that there was anyone coming. Then I did something stupid. I looked away for a second to check the GPS. Still no signal. When I looked back, the figure was gone. Just vanished. But something else changed. The trees were farther back now, and the road signs had stopped completely. I felt like I'd passed through something, some invisible wall, and now I was on the other side. A side I wasn't meant to see. My chest tightened. My fingers were numb on the steering wheel. The sound, the tapping, was still there. Only now it was inside the car. I froze. The tapping wasn't just random. It was patterned, deliberate. Like fingers drumming on glass in a rhythm meant to unsettle. It was coming from the back seat. I didn't want to look, but I did. Nothing. Just my coat, a half-empty water bottle, and a shadow that didn't belong to anything I could explain. It shifted slightly when I moved. I blinked and it was gone. My heart pounded so hard I thought it might crack my ribs. I rolled the windows down, hoping fresh air would bring me back to some kind of normal. But all I got was silence. No wind. No sounds from the trees. Just the roar of my engine and that damn tapping. I turned the music up. White noise now. The only station that played anything. The sound of static almost comforted me. Almost. That's when I realized something. The road ahead was narrowing. It wasn't just cracked anymore. It was crumbling. And there were no tire marks. No oil stains. Like no one had ever driven this way before. Or like I was the last one who ever would. Just when I thought the road would never end, I saw lights. At first, I thought it was another hallucination. Some glitch in the darkness. But no, it was real. A row of flickering amber streetlights stretched out ahead, casting dull, sickly glows over cracked pavement and long-forgotten sidewalks. A town. I slowed down, wary, but my curiosity overpowered my fear. The car crept forward into what looked like a main street. The buildings were old, 1940s-style architecture, the kind you'd see in old black and white photos. Brick walls, dusty windows, peeling paint. Everything looked untouched for decades. But there were no people. No movement. No sound. Just the low hum of my engine and the occasional crackle from the radio. now filled with a slow, grinding tone, like a record being played backward. The first building I passed was a diner. The neon sign buzzed weakly, missing letters. Echowood, it read. I parked outside and stepped out of the car. The air was wrong. It didn't smell like a town. No food, no garbage, no smoke. Just cold, dry nothingness. I pushed open the diner's door. It let out a loud creak, echoing like I was inside a cave. Everything inside was pristine. Dishes set on tables. A pot of coffee half full. A jukebox playing some crackly 1920s jazz on a loop. But not a single soul. Then I saw him. A man sitting at the counter. I swear he wasn't there when I walked in. But when I blinked, he was just there. Dressed in old-fashioned clothes. A hat tipped low. Face hidden in shadow. His hands were folded in front of him, unmoving. I said hello. He didn't answer. I took a step closer. Do you know where I am? His head tilted just slightly. Not where. When? His voice sounded like it came from a cassette tape left out in the sun too long. Warped, slow, hollow. I shivered. What does that mean? He lifted his head slowly. His face wasn't right. His eyes were solid black. No whites. No irises. Just void. You're on the wrong path, he said. But the road chose you. I want to leave, I told him. He didn't blink. Then pay the toll. What toll? He pointed to the window. I turned to look, and he was gone. Vanished. No footsteps. No sound. Just the empty stool where he'd been. I rushed back outside, but nothing had changed. The street was still empty. My car, idling exactly where I left it. Except the lights had changed. They were red now. All of them. And the music had stopped. I stood frozen on the sidewalk, unsure of what to do next. Across the street was a gas station. I decided to check it out. Maybe they had a working phone. As I stepped off the curb, I noticed something strange. My footsteps didn't echo the way they should have. They sounded flat, muffled. The gas station was straight out of a different era. Old pumps with analog dials. A dusty, open 24 hours sign swung lazily in the still air. I tried the door. It opened with a metallic groan. Inside, the shelves were stocked, but nothing looked touched. Cans of soup with expiration dates from the 60s. A row of chocolate bars with unfamiliar brands. And at the counter, another figure. A woman this time. Or at least, she looked like one. Her head was tilted too far to the side, and her eyes blinked in perfect sync. 1, 2, 3 blinks. Then nothing. I asked if she could help me. She smiled too wide and said nothing. Just pointed to a wall where an old map hung. But it wasn't a map of the town. It was the road I'd been driving. Twisting, looping. No names, no compass. Just one mark in red ink near the center. You are here. And behind me, the radio in my car crackled to life again. I didn't want to turn around. Whatever was waiting behind me, I could feel it now. Not see, not hear, just feel. Like an invisible weight had entered the room. But the radio was on again, and it was whispering. No static this time. Just a low, continuous murmur. A voice, maybe multiple, speaking words I didn't understand. It sounded ancient, like something that had never meant to be heard by human ears. I walked back to the car slowly, each step heavier than the last. When I got in and closed the door, the whispering stopped. Silence. Until I looked in the rearview mirror. He was sitting in the back seat. The man from the diner. His hat was gone now, revealing a head covered in deep scars. And where his eyes should have been, nothing. Just smooth skin, unbroken. I couldn't move. He opened his mouth. and the same whispering came pouring out. Too many voices, too many languages. I covered my ears, screamed, floored the gas pedal. My tires screeched against the cracked pavement as I launched forward, praying that momentum alone would shake whatever he was. But when I looked again, he was gone, vanished. Not in the mirror, not in the seat, not even a trace. I kept driving, not thinking, just driving. The town faded into the distance behind me. I didn't even see where the road changed back. I just blinked and it was forest again. But the forest was wrong too. All the trees looked dead, twisted, blackened trunks with no leaves. The sky above was a dull, sick gray, like it was permanently overcast. I passed a burned-out billboard that looked like it once had a family on it. Now their faces were melted into streaks of rust. That's when I saw them. Houses, just a few, scattered along the road. Some were completely collapsed, others still standing but empty. Their windows were broken. Their doors hung off hinges. I slowed down, unable to resist the urge to stop. I pulled over near one and got out. The silence was worse out here, like even the air was holding its breath. Inside the house was dust, decay, and something stranger. On the walls, scrawled in what looked like charcoal, or maybe ash, were words. He never blinks. Over and over again, covering the wallpaper, the ceiling, even the floor, and on the mirror in the hallway, a message. I see you. I ran, out the front door and back into the street, my pulse hammering in my ears. But before I could reach the car, I noticed another house across the road, different from the rest. Its windows weren't broken. Its porch light was on. Something about that light drew me in. Against every instinct, I crossed the road and climbed the steps. The door creaked open on its own. Inside was warm. Not inviting, just warm. Like the air was breathing. There was music playing upstairs, soft, like a music box. A melody I swore I knew from somewhere, maybe childhood. I called out. No answer. The staircase groaned as I ascended, each step more difficult than the last. Like the house didn't want me up there, but also couldn't let me leave. At the end of the hall, one door was slightly ajar. I pushed it open. Inside was a child's room. Dusty, forgotten, but on the bed, perfectly made, was a single stuffed rabbit. Its button eyes had been removed. And above the bed, scratched into the plaster, "Don't look back." I turned, and through the window, across the street in the house I had just fled, I saw someone watching me from the mirror, but there was no one inside. I didn't stop running until I was back in the car. The second I slammed the door, the music from the upstairs room cut out. No fade, no distortion, just silence. I floored it, not even bothering to check the mirror. I knew whatever was in that house could follow if it wanted to. The road was different again. The lines on the pavement looked freshly painted now, glowing white in the dark. And signs started appearing, one after another, faster than before. Obey the signs. Don't stop. Stay in motion. Then a new one. And no left turns. I slowed down instinctively. Who was putting these here? And how are they changing so fast? I kept going, but then I saw it, another fork in the road. To the left, a narrow dirt path, dark and winding, flanked by skeletal trees. To the right, smooth pavement with a sign that read safe. I remembered the last sign. No left turns. So I turned right. Almost immediately, I felt a surge of cold run through my spine. The road was too smooth, too perfect. I turned the radio on again. Static. Then a voice, my own, whispering, "You shouldn't have trusted the signs." I jerked the wheel, swerving back onto the dirt road. Gravel crunched under my tires, the car bucking slightly. But I kept going. More signs appeared, now handwritten, crooked, some nailed to trees. Do not exit vehicle. Lights off. No eye contact. What the hell was happening? Was this some kind of test? A punishment? Then I saw it. The glove box was open. I didn't open it. Inside was a notebook. Leather-bound, old. Pages filled with frantic scribbles. The first entry read, "Rules of the road." I flipped through it with shaking hands. Each page had rules. Some made no sense. Others were chilling in their specificity. Do not stop, no matter what is in the road. If a figure waves you down, do not respond. If you see yourself on the side of the road, keep driving. If the road splits into three, take the middle. If you hear crying from the back seat, turn the music up. I didn't know who wrote it, but I knew they'd been here, and they wanted someone to survive. The next page had stains on it. Water, maybe, or something else. The words were smeared, but legible. Never acknowledge a second moon. If your headlights reflect eyes above road level, look away. Drive exactly 33 miles per hour between 3:33 and 3:39 a.m. If a child asks for help, keep driving. It's not a child. Each line made me more nauseous than the last. My hand started to shake. I looked at the clock on the dash. 3:28 a.m. I didn't even remember it getting that late. Suddenly, the road split. 3 lanes now. Middle, left, and right. Each one looked identical. I remembered the rule. I took the middle. Instantly, the world around me dimmed, like a cloud had passed over the moon. Except there was no moon. I flicked on the high beams. A shadow darted across the road ahead, then another. Quick. Too fast to be animals. Too smooth to be people. The radio clicked again. Don't look. Don't speak. Don't think. It wasn't my voice this time. I pressed the gas harder, focused on the lines in the center of the road. I felt something slam into the side of the car. Hard, but I didn't look. The notebook's last page had one final note. If you reach the toll, it's already too late. I must have driven for miles, but it felt like I was moving in place. The road narrowed again, this time tighter than before. My car barely fit between the trees. Then I saw them, taillights. At least 4 sets, red and distant. Other drivers. Relief surged through me. Maybe I wasn't alone out here. I sped up, trying to catch them. But no matter how fast I went, they never got closer. The lights just hovered in the distance, pulsing like they were breathing. Then I noticed something off. The cars weren't moving right. They all swerved at the same time, turned at the same time. Their brake lights flashed in unison. I tapped my brakes, so did they. I changed lanes, they did too. It was like they were mimicking me. I slowed down again, letting my car drift slightly to the right. Every vehicle in front of me mirrored it, perfectly synced. It wasn't a coincidence. These weren't other drivers. They were reflections, or copies. And then one of them crashed. The second I eased toward the shoulder, the lead car jerked violently, smashing into a tree. Metal shrieked. The sound of shattering glass echoed down the road. I hit the brakes and stopped. The others did too. I got out slowly, staring ahead. The lead car was wrecked. Steam poured from the hood. And yet, no one got out. The driver sat still, completely upright. I approached cautiously, heart thundering in my chest. What I saw made me stumble back. The driver's head was turned completely around, facing backward. His eyes were black voids, just like the man from the diner. And his mouth was open wide, a scream frozen in time. Then he blinked. I ran back to my car, heart racing. When I looked in the mirror, the other cars had vanished. Except one. It was behind me now. Its headlights flickered. It was the same model as mine. Same color. Same plates. And I could see someone in the driver's seat. I didn't wait. I hit the gas, swerving violently back onto the road. The copy followed. For the next several miles, it matched me exactly. Turn for turn. Speed for speed. Until we came to a tunnel. A sign hung above it. Only one returns. The tunnel loomed ahead, pitch black beyond the entrance, like it swallowed all light. I hesitated just a moment, but my car didn't. It surged forward on its own. The copy followed. As I passed under the arch, my headlights flickered. The radio turned on again, but this time it played a heartbeat. A deep, slow thump that matched mine. The tunnel walls were lined with faded symbols, smeared handprints, names etched into concrete. I saw my own name flash past, scrawled in what looked like dried blood. Halfway through, the lights on the ceiling began to pop one by one behind me. Boom, boom, boom. The sound chased me forward, and the copy was gaining. I could see it now, identical to mine, but twisted. My face in the driver's seat, but pale, sunken, with those same black eyes. It smiled at me. A cruel, knowing smile. There was a light at the end of the tunnel. A weak glow, flickering. The copy pulled up beside me, matching speed. I looked over. It mouthed something I couldn't hear, but I understood. Give up. Instead, I floored it. The tunnel narrowed, just enough for one. And I didn't slow down. I don't remember the impact. I just remember light. Blinding white light. Like a flashbang going off in my skull. Then silence. Not the kind you hear, but the kind you feel. The kind that fills your lungs and keeps you from breathing. When I opened my eyes, I was still driving. But the world outside the windshield wasn't the same. The trees were gone. The road floated in a void. Blackness on every side, no horizon, no sky. The only thing around me was static, visual static, like an old TV with no signal, bleeding in and out around the edges of my vision. The radio was screaming, not in words, just noise. Jagged, broken, 1,000 sounds layered over each other. Shifting frequencies, like it was trying to tune into something that didn't exist. I shouted, trying to ground myself. My hands clenched the wheel. My foot was pressed hard on the gas, but the speedometer needle spun in circles. Nothing made sense. The static bled through the windshield, crackling across the dashboard. My skin prickled like ants crawling beneath it. I reached out, and my hand passed through the steering wheel for a second, like I wasn't really there. Then the radio clicked. Almost there. Don't sleep. My own voice. Calm. Flat. I looked around wildly, but there was no road anymore, just a path made of blinking lines that moved with me. I wasn't steering. I was being guided. The notebook was back on the passenger seat. A new page had appeared. If you make it through, you'll forget. That's how it works. What the hell did that mean? I touched the book. It pulsed beneath my fingers like a heartbeat. Then the windshield fractured. A single crack at first, then another. Spiderwebbing across the glass. But there was no impact. No sound. Just pressure, like reality was being squeezed. And through the cracks, I saw something staring at me. Not a person. Not even a creature. Just eyes, hundreds of them, floating in the static. Watching. Waiting. I squeezed my eyes shut, counted to 3, and opened them again. The eyes were gone, but something had replaced them. Mouths. Hundreds of mouths, all open, all silent. Their lips moved in slow, haunting unison, as if chanting. But I couldn't hear anything. just the endless static. I tried turning the radio off. The button didn't respond. None of the controls did. I reached for the gear shift, gone. Even the pedals weren't moving anymore. My feet pressed down into nothingness, like the car was only pretending to be a car now. I wasn't driving. I was witnessing. The static outside began to pulse with color. Hues I couldn't name. Shapes that didn't stay fixed. They crawled and twisted, folding in and out of themselves. Geometry that broke physics. That's when the windshield cracked again. But this time, it wasn't just cracks, it was leaking. Thick, black smoke seeped in, not from a fire, but from nowhere. It moved like it was alive, snaking toward my face. I held my breath. The notebook flipped pages on its own. If you sleep here, you'll wake up somewhere worse. I couldn't keep my eyes open. They burned. My body screamed for rest. But something deeper, something primal, knew that if I closed them, even for a second, I wouldn't open them again. So I screamed. I screamed everything in me, hoping the noise would keep me tethered. I slammed the dashboard, pounded the horn, begged myself to stay awake. And for a split second it worked. The static blinked, and I saw light, real light, on the far edge of the void. A shape. A door. Open. I don't remember steering toward the door. It pulled me in like gravity, the light getting stronger with every inch. The static peeled away, like curtains being drawn back to reveal something ancient, something waiting. And then, I was back on a road. Only it wasn't the same road. This one was too straight, too smooth. The trees were gone. The sky above was a dull amber hue, like sunset frozen in time. Then I saw the gate. It rose up out of the horizon, black iron stretching impossibly high, crowned with barbed wire and rust. In front of it stood a toll booth, a small one, old-fashioned, with yellow glass windows and a single sign above it. Last payment. I slowed. Not because I wanted to, but because I had to. The car wouldn't go any faster. The air grew heavier with each foot I inched forward. Then I saw him. The toll keeper. He didn't look real. Too tall. Skin too tight. He wore a uniform, something from another era, and a hat that cast a shadow over most of his face. But I saw his smile. Wide. Unblinking. I rolled down the window. He didn't speak at first, just held out a hand. I don't have anything, I said. No money, no ID, nothing. His fingers twitched. Not that kind of toll, he said. His voice was wet, sticky, like molasses mixed with oil. Then what? I asked. He reached into the booth, pulled out a photo. It was me, sitting at a kitchen table, laughing. My mom behind me, birthday cake in her hands. A moment I hadn't remembered in years. You must pay with memory, he said. Something that matters. I shook my head. No, that's mine. His smile widened. It was, he said. He pressed the photo to the glass. It melted into a black smear. I blinked, and the memory was gone. I couldn't recall what cake tasted like. I couldn't picture my mom's face. You may pass, he whispered. The gate creaked open, and I drove through. The road beyond the gate shimmered. It didn't look real, more like an idea of a road, flickering at the edges like static still clung to it. But before I could press the gas, the toll keeper raised one finger. There's one more, he said. I didn't understand. I already paid. One toll for each exit, he said. You must pay again. I stared at him, shaking. I don't have anything left. You do, he said. The memory you're clinging to the most. I didn't know what he meant until I felt it. A sharp pain in my chest. A tug deep in my gut. A memory rose up unbidden, the night I first fell in love. We were parked on a hill, looking at stars, sharing dreams. Her laugh, her voice, her scent, it all came flooding back. And just as quickly, he reached through the window. His hand didn't touch me. It touched the memory. I felt it being peeled away, like my brain was being unzipped. I screamed loud, raw. The pain wasn't physical, but it was worse. It left a hole where something sacred had been, and then it was gone. I couldn't even remember what I'd lost, only that something was missing. The toll keeper tipped his hat. "You are lighter now," he said. "That is the price." The gate fully opened, and the road ahead turned dark again. The road beyond the gate felt familiar. Too familiar. It was the same curve, the same trees, the same cracked pavement. My headlights caught a highway sign up ahead. I slowed down, not quite believing what I was seeing. Route 27, exit 14A, Homewood. That was my exit. The one I should have taken hours ago. The same one I'd taken dozens of times before. I rolled past it slowly. Everything looked normal now. Streetlights, mile markers. Even my GPS blinked back to life with a cheerful ding. Estimated arrival, 12 minutes. I laughed. Or maybe I cried. I followed the highway. White lines ticking by like a metronome. And then I saw the town sign. "Welcome to Homewood." My chest ached just reading it. I pulled off. Drove through streets I knew by heart. Each corner another memory, fighting to surface. My house was exactly where I left it. Same mailbox. Same porch light. I parked. Just sat there, engine idling, watching the windows. No movement. No lights. I stepped out. The night air was colder than I remembered. I climbed the steps slowly. Put my key in the lock. It turned. Inside, everything was in place. My couch. My pictures. My coat still on the hook. But something was wrong. I didn't recognize the man in the photos. He looked like me. But he wasn't. His smile was too wide. His eyes too still. And then I noticed the mirror. In the hallway, next to the closet. I stepped in front of it. No reflection. I reached out, touched the glass. It rippled. And from the other side, something touched back. I stumbled away, heart pounding, hands shaking. My phone buzzed. A notification. New memory available. I didn't open it. I didn't want to know. Because deep down, I already did. I never left the road. I backed away from the mirror. Every step feeling like it took me deeper into a house that shouldn't be mine anymore. I opened drawers, looked at the mail on the counter, different names. Names I didn't know. Magazines addressed to someone else. I found a family portrait on the wall. A woman. A child. Me. But I had no memory of them. The child had my eyes. I sat on the couch, overwhelmed, trying to breathe. The room felt like it was closing in. Then the TV turned on, by itself. Footage. Dashcam footage. Of me. On the road. The highway that didn't exist. Each scene flickered like found footage from a forgotten surveillance camera. The towns. The figures. The tunnel. The copy of me. And in every scene, there were two versions of me. One driving. One watching. Then the screen went black. A message appeared. "Did you make the right turn?" I stood up. My legs barely held me. I stumbled back toward the front door, but it was gone. Just smooth wall. No knob. No hinges. The house had sealed itself, and the lights began to dim. One by one. I screamed. No words, just pure panic. I ran room to room. Every window showed only static. Not outside. Not night. Just buzzing noise and flickering gray. Then silence. Utter, complete silence. Until the front door reappeared. Open. And beyond it, black road, empty woods, and that same crooked sign. Echowood, 2 miles. I took a step forward, and the door slammed shut behind me.